The much anticipated IPL mega auction is all set to take place in Jeddah on November 24th and 25th. While players and teams steal the limelight, it is the auctioneers who ensure the smooth functioning of the event. Over the years, many have led the proceedings, but only one stand out, Richard Madley. He's joining us on WION right now.
That's a great pleasure. I'm always delighted to talk about the IPL and, of course, the auction itself.
You have conducted the IPL auction for 10 years. So how was your experience like? Do you miss it?
Oh, it was a great honor to conduct 11 IPL auctions from 2008 to 2018, and very much the highlight of my career. And I would look forward to coming out to India to conduct that auction every year for 10 years. Yes, I must admit, when I wasn't invited back after the 11th year, I felt a little bit empty.
The IPL mega auction is just around the corner. So what are your expectations from this?
Well, I look upon it from the auctioneer's standpoint, and I come at it really from I suppose, from a performer's point of view. So I'm looking at it as Malika will be looking at it, and indeed Hugh and even Shahrukh to some extent, looking at the number of players that will be in the auction, how they'll be broken down into their sets, into the two marquee sets, which only happens in the mega auctions, and then to the specialists, fast bowlers, spin bowlers, wicket keepers and batsmen. And so I would be just analysing, looking closely at the way that the auction will be structured.
I'm going to ask you to take a trip down the memory lane. Do you remember MS Dhoni's IPL auction? What was the buzz like when you called out his name?
Dhoni was the golden boy of Indian cricket. He was a little bit, if I'd been auctioning footballers, it would be like David Beckham coming up into the auction. And interestingly, we haven't got records of that. You'd think that the records for the historic IPL auction are scratchy, to say the least. I mean, people ask me questions and I say I honestly can't remember, but we have no recordings of certain things, so we don't actually know who was bidding for Dhoni that day. All I know is that there was significant competition. You could just tell, and you could see the determination of the Chennai franchise. Mr. Srinivasan, I believe, was bidding at the time. They were going to buy him. There was a determination, a steely determination that he was going to bid, but there was plenty of competition. And so, as an auctioneer, you're thinking, "Gosh, I wonder who is going to underbid him." I believe RCB were in the bidding. Mumbai Indians, perhaps they're the people who could tell you who they were bidding, who was bidding for Dhoni that day. But as my hammer came down at 1,500,000, sold. MS Dhoni will play for the Chennai franchise. And if I suspected cricket was changing when I'd sold Shane Warne a few minutes beforehand, I knew at that moment that was it. Cricket had certainly changed forever, and MS Dhoni was the reason for it, and I was the person holding the gavel at that particular time.
Being an auctioneer is a tough job. Hugh admits even fainted during one of the IPL auctions, proving how mentally and physically challenging the job is.
Yeah, the pressure of conducting the IPL auction is greater than any other auction in the world. And I can safely say that because, like Hugh, I know many of the auctioneers who take the big sales at Christie's and Sotheby's and Phillips and Bonhams around the world, where the numbers are much bigger. The numbers in the IPL auction are tiny compared with the international art market. People get excited when a player sells for $2 million. Well, a work of art could sell for 50 million, 100 million. So the numbers in the art world are much, much bigger. And I've lost count of the number of items I've sold for over 1 million, but in cricket, the focus in the IPL, those are huge numbers, and the responsibility of the auctioneer is enormous. And I've discussed this with with Hugh, and I'm sure Malika as well is thinking already. She'll be preparing for Sunday's auction, and she would have started as soon as she gets her list. She got her list, and so as soon as I'd be sent the big list first, the list of 1,500 players. You start to have a look at it, but you don't. You'd scan through it because you know it's going to get chopped down to maybe 550, 600 players. Once you've got that list, that's when you start your homework. You start your homework and working out not their batting averages or their bowling averages. That would drive you nuts. And it also that is what the team analysts are going to do for the team owners. I'm thinking of how they're going to break down into their specialisms. Once you identify the marquee players, in which order are the specialist players going to come out? Is it batsmen first or fast bowlers? And reading through the names and working on the pronunciations and the prices. Get used to saying a player's name and a number that you've never actually said before from a rostrum. In the month running up to the auction, it was normally January, I would have abstained from alcohol for a month prior to the auction. I would be physically fit. So I've always been quite interested in going to the gym, but I would have upped my gym routine. I'd have rested well. I would have been in good physical shape because physically it is very demanding up there on stage.
Thank you so much, Mr. Madley, for joining us on WION. It was great having you.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me to join you today. And let's all look forward to a great auction this weekend.